people get confused about the SJSU supplemental application, and that is required. So it is in their to-do list. So program-specific coursework. We talked about this earlier in terms of each college has specific coursework that they need to earn a C or better in these courses. So you want to make sure that students understand that even though there are other classes that we allow C- in, these program-specific coursework, they have to earn a C or better in those courses. The GPA, they have to meet the GPA impaction thresholds to the major. We take their self-reported GPA plus the coursework, and we start looking at what the thresholds will be for that college, or that, for that program. So meeting that threshold is key. So then also doing well on those supplemental courses will help the student as well. So CSU eligible transfer applicants will be ranked in each of the majors. So we take the top GPA and we start going down. So based on their self-reported GPA as reported on their application, we then go through the actual programs and we look at whether or not they have the courses, and we will give preference in the impaction process to those transfer applicants who have completed program-specific preparatory courses. For those programs, applicants will be ranked for admission to each of those majors in a combination of their self-report and the completion of the approved programs. So in the example during the College of Science session, somebody asked, you really need a 3.8 GPA for computer science? Yes, plus the 5 courses. And if you're short of the 5 courses, then your GPA goes up if you have 4. If you have 3, it's up. Okay, so it raises each time. And then there's times where if they didn't have space for those that had less or fewer, then they wouldn't be admitted. So the supplemental courses are also listed on our website. And this information is also on our website for Impactions. You get a sense here of what I was saying in terms of if applicants who completed 3 courses requirements were admitted above a 2.0. So some majors might just have space. They'll just say, we'll take those students that completed the coursework at 3, at 2.0. If they have less than 3, then there's the GPA that goes up, 2.1. Applicants who completed a course requirement were admitted, one course requirement were admitted above a 2.3. And then you can see here other types of classes that we have in terms of the types of classes we're asking for and what supplemental courses. And when they fill out the supplemental course, the supplemental application, you are seeing the classes that are required. So then the student just puts the grade in that they've completed, or they say planned or in progress. So then for those students coming from our local area, we do provide a GPA bump of 0.25 to increase, a 0.25 GPA increase for those applicants who earned the majority of their transferable units at the time of application from Santa Clara or Santa Cruz County colleges. So that is included in our impaction review. We talked about ADTs this morning in different sessions, and we do have a multiple amount of ADTs that we have agreements with your colleges to see the actual agreements, the website that's listed on this slide. You can go out and you can see the, actually, let me go back. Yes, from this website, you can go to the degree, the guarantee with a degree website for the ADT, and you can actually put in which college you are, going to San Jose State, the program, and then you can see if it's a match. So we do give the bump to those that apply with the ADT that is approved major, and it matches the applicant's intent. So I've had some students tell me, how come I didn't get a bump when I had an ADT? Well, you have an ADT in, I don't know, finance, but you applied to communications, and those do not match. So you'll get the 60 unit, we'll guarantee that, but we do not give the bump for the ADT. I'm going to stop there because I can see a bunch of questions in the queue. I'm going to call in Drew to see if I can answer some of those questions in the queue live.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Deanna, for all that information. So there are some questions in the queue that if we could try to answer them live. We also have Blanca Mian, if you'd like to chime in on some of these as well. So Deanna, first question for you is in regards to, sounds like transfer orientation. So are transfer students able to receive assistance with registration when they actually attend their orientation?
Yes, there is part of the orientation session is an advising session. Now students, are used to the environment that they are in when they're at their community college, where they sit down with the one advisor or maybe in a group setting. It is kind of tight, and we have lots of students in our program. So what we do is in the virtual world, we had advising sessions. Now, any of your students who want to talk with an advisor in their program, they can go to the college student success centers and they can speak with somebody. They don't actually have to be enrolled. They will be able to help the student with questions in regards to what they might need to register. Coming next year, we are talking about a different format that might help students to know more information in advance to orientation about registration and about what they need to register for.
Okay, thank you. All right, Deanna, so it looks like there's a few questions for international students. So just for clarification, this question is, what is the actual minimum admission GPA requirement for international students on an F1 visa? Is it a 2.0 or is it a 2.4?
We're going to start with a 2.0 for CSU admissibility for international students. I believe that 2.4 was changed some years ago, and we've been using the CSU 2.0 as the minimum.
Okay, thank you, Miss. All right, this one pretty straightforward. So in regards to spring admission, and we get this all the time in our counseling appointments as well. So Deanna, for spring admission, when do the 60 units and the 4 basic skills need to be completed by?
Up until this spring 21 cycle, we required the students to complete the admissions requirements, the 60 units and the units, 60 units and the 4 basic skills by the end of summer. And at this point, that was what we did for the spring cycle. However, moving into our next spring cycle, which would be spring 22, we are planning on changing that and allowing students to complete work over the fall semester. So as long as they're done in the fall semester, they would be okay. Now, that's not something we would do right now, but moving forward, we would change that. And we find it very difficult because students leave in May from your campuses and they don't realize they could have registered for a class over the summer to finish out those requirements. So we're working on changing that for the future, but traditionally it's been the end of summer that we've required them.
All right. Deanna, this has also been a popular question, again, outside of even this meeting during COVID. So can any of the 4 basic skills courses be taken for past grades? Can you please specify if it's true at any time beyond COVID?
Very good question. So as long as the pass grade is a C- or better on your legend, if that pass grade is defined as a C- or better for the 4 basic skills, then we will take it. Okay. But if you do not have that on your transcript as a pass equals C- or better, then we will not take it. And I often have conversations about that. So if you can have your registrar's office adjust that or make it so on their transcript, we would be happy to accommodate your students, but it has to say that on the transcripts. And that question came up during the transfer sessions with the CSU, and it was confirmed by many campuses that that is our process, that as long as the legend on the transcript shows that it equals a C-, or in help me, Blanca, in terms of the guide that we use for the courses. And these are mostly out of state, what we would consider. So as long as we determine that on the transcript.
Okay. All right, this question, Deanna, is again just for clarification for international students. So are international students required to complete the supplemental application if they submit the CSU application for December 4th?
So for spring 21, they have not been required to complete the supplemental application. However, moving into fall 21, we are going to be considering changing that because we're not we need to have students complete that so that we are able to review them, that they are able to show us that they've done the supplemental courses, and the information is there in the application. So more to come on that, but historically we've not made our international students go through the supplemental application. They do need to complete the supplemental coursework that's required for that, their intended major.
Okay. Would you like to keep going?
No, let's take a break from that and we'll come back because I have a few more slides.
Okay.
Thanks. So we also want to encourage our applicants to make sure that they submit any AP or IB exams that they've taken with passing scores to San Jose State because it does help them, advance them. It might also meet an admissions requirements. A lot of times on the Cal State Apply application, they'll indicate that. They also indicate that they've completed a B4 or an A2 with an AP score, but we never get the score. So it's important that if they are going to use the AP exam, that they make sure to send it to San Jose State. And we do place a checklist out there on their to-do items, but we also want to encourage them to enter the score on their Cal State Apply application, because then we pick it up and we can say, oh, we're going to need that from you. We place something on their to-do list and we, require it. We hold them for it. We also encourage students to take the CLEP exam for the college level exams to earn, to help them earn more units, to help them advance their degree efforts. So they are $89 and the fee can be waived through passing of a free online passport participation. So there's the website in terms of the CLEP. We are doing some testing. It's not as frequent due to COVID. So I would encourage your students to take a look at our testing website. So here's the timeline. I'll go over this. We're now in October. We're in the application cycle for this year due to lots of reasons in terms of COVID and students learning online and the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday. The Chancellor's Office extended the application deadline to December 4th. Please know that is for this year. I don't know if it's going to be permanent, but I know that the Chancellor's Office is saying this is just for this year, okay? So we may go back to November 30 because that's our historical deadline. We will want students to complete the supplemental application by January 30 of next year. And we will send them messages in beginning of January. Actually, we send them like a heads up message in December. And then we actually assign it to their to-do list right when we get back from the holiday break. And we send messages regarding the completion. The notice of admission is going to be late February, early March. So we will be sending out virtual notices as well as the white packet, the white envelope. I'm happy to hear that we're able to still do that. So we'll be sending our notifications of admissions. The next date is the March 23rd date for partial transcripts. It is so important that we get a partial transcript in March so that we can start working on that student's admissions and finalizing it to the point of work in progress. In addition to doing the verification of completed work, we also post transfer credit to that completed work. So it's crucial that we get this transcript. I can't tell you that how difficult it has been to try to get students to turn that in. So please make sure they follow that. Then the intent to enroll hasn't changed, May 1. We don't have any plans to change that this year. We did have to extend it, but we will keep to the May 1 deadline. Students will be required to do orientation. We call it Spartan Experience. And the orientation sessions are they're added to the steps to, or the steps in intent to enroll. So they pick the date and more information will be provided to them. And then the final deadline for the final transcripts is July 15th as it has been in the past. And I already know that the quarter schools can't make that deadline, but I think you get around that time. We give a little more time for the quarter schools, but that is our general document deadline for students. Wanted to talk a bit about our spring 21 admissions. We received 3,284 applications. We admitted 1,846 students so far. We're pretty much done. I shouldn't say so far. We're done with our admissions for spring 21. The results, as we talked about, the website, take a picture of this screen with that website. We can drop, if you could drop that in the chat, Drew, I would appreciate it. That way you can see where we landed with our programs, and students have until December 1, 11:59 p.m. to say yes, to sign up for orientation and pay for that intent to enroll. For transfer students, it's $80 for the intent to enroll. And then if students do have any final documents that they need to turn in, sometimes they just need to finalize some other documents. The January 15th deadline is what we need. And that is really important because it's right before school starts. The semester will begin, and we want to make sure that we do any final clearing of that student's admissions. The cost of attendance here at San Jose State for this coming year. You can see here, this is based on 12 units and pretty much hasn't changed too much in the year. We get lots of questions about whether or not our fees will be reduced due to COVID and due to remote learning. And the answer is that we at San Jose State do not have the authority to change the tuition fee amount. Just like on your campuses, we have to pay our costs still. We do have to pay our faculty, we have to pay our staff, we have to pay our students that are working with us too. So there are still expenses, and our campus technically is open to students that are attending school, whether it's hybrid or there are some services on campus that the students can come and receive. So like the Student Health Center, we have our rec center, it's partially open. There are things on our campus that have been allowed to open based on the health directives of our county. We talked about financial aid a little bit earlier about scholarships in College of Engineering, but I wanted to provide, we have financial aid just like you have financial aid. So please encourage students to do their application if they haven't done their FAFSA, to do it now and before March 2nd, as well as the California DREAM Act application. We definitely need those applications in by March 2nd. Our school code is 001155. And then I always get these questions about, well, I applied and I haven't gotten my disbursement yet. Well, it's May, and we don't disperse until, we can't disperse aid until the week prior to the semester beginning. So that's that. And then also EOP is available, and here is the information regarding their deadline. The deadline for EOP is the same as the Cal State Apply. That is a priority deadline with the documents and recommendation forms due on January 30th. Oh, excuse me, January 31st. We do offer housing, and as soon as that they would like to contract with housing, we do have students living on our campus right now. We have about 700 students living in housing. And even though we are in the middle of the COVID pandemic, there are students that need a place to live. So while it's not required this time, transfer students are not required to live on campus, but just a note in terms of freshmen, we do require our students that live 30 miles out to live on campus. Will that change this coming year? I don't know, but we just can't guess what's happening. If students are interested in housing, I have the information there to contact them, but to submit the contract, and the deadline is May 1, 2021. So take your phones out and hold it up to your screen. This QR code will get you the famous Steps to Admissions brochure that we would normally be handing out in the room for you to take to your offices and have in your space, but we don't have that ability. And when we finish here, I'll make sure to put that in the chat and link it for you. And by now, you may know that we have a virtual front desk. And these are places where students can come in and Zoom with our counseling staff as well as our ambassadors to get their questions answered. You can also go in and talk with our counselors or one of our staff and get your questions answered as well. You could follow us, I don't know if that's the term, follow us at Future Spartans on Instagram. We also have our famous student podcast. It's called the Spartan Scoop, and it's actually done by our student ambassadors. So it's all student-led, created, and it's good. It's a good platform for students to hear from other students and learn from them. We have created virtual tours, and those tours are live interaction with our student ambassadors, and it's great. It's actually a really nice way to see the campus and be able to do that in your own environment. So this information is really important. We want you to connect with us. We want your students to connect with us. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Drew to ask me some more questions and with the time that we have.
Yeah, thank you, Deanna. And just to reiterate and debrief, so in the chat for everyone, I did drop once again, just to be safe, our domestic Steps to Admissions brochure for fall 2021 and our international Steps to Admissions brochure for those who have some questions about international admissions. Okay, so Deanna, we can shoot you a couple of questions here. So one of them is does SJSU, do we still offer Spartan pathways for local applicants?
Good question, and yes, we do. That is part of our process. Once we have gone through the impaction review and have sent our notice of denial, that's one of the steps that they can take. If they are admissible, CSU eligible, but didn't meet the thresholds or impaction, they can apply to Spartan Pathways, and that is open for transfers. We get actually a lot of applicants from transfer students for Spartan Pathways.
Okay, thank you. This question, just if you can repeat one more time, Deanna, can you repeat the deadline for EOP?
So to apply through Cal State Apply for EOP, it's December 4th. It's the same day as the Cal State Apply deadline. The documents or the recommendation letters are due January 31st.
Okay, thank you. This question looks like it's more high school admissions related. Deanna, will we consider SAT scores for 2022, 23, and 24 moving forward?
I don't have an answer for that question. The CSU has suspended the requirement for actually for fall 21 and spring 22. So that's one academic year. That's technically one admissions year. So beyond spring 22, I don't know.
Okay. This question is more kind of generally speaking. What is the average competitive GPA students typically get accepted into SJSU?
That's a hard question to answer because every major on our campus is different based on capacity. So it depends on how many applicants we receive in that major. Going back to computer science, that is the most popular major. We get 4,000 applicants that are applying to computer science. We don't have the capacity to admit all of those students. That's the reason why the GPA goes up so high.
Okay, thank you. We did have a question that I can help just reiterate. So the question was more about the website, the admissions website versus the outreach website. So for the counselors on the Zoom, in the Zoom room, so the admissions website that Deanna, I'm sure, has shared a million times, and we've sent it in the chat as well. The admissions website will have the admissions requirements along with the impaction thresholds, requirements for both freshmen, transfers, former students returning, international students, etc. Now, student outreach and recruitment, or SOAR, as we like to call ourselves, we are under the Office of Undergraduate Admissions and Outreach, and therefore we offer, per Deanna's last slide there, our team offers pre-admissions counseling. And so on our SOAR website, which I have put in the chat again, you can request a student can request a 15 to 20 minute Zoom appointment. There's also the virtual front desk that, again, Deanna has reiterated, is immediate assistance. So if students just have general quick questions, you could call it drop-in counseling or drop-in, just a quick, if students have general questions, they can access the virtual front desk Monday through Friday, 9 to 12 and 1 to 4:30, where a student ambassador will immediately access the room where your students enter, answer questions. If it has to escalate to one of our SOAR counselors, they will then invite one of our counselors to the breakout room for your student. So we are here for you virtually, with that VFD, as I like to call it. And then if they want an intimate, more one-on-one Zoom appointment request, they will have to request it. Our counselors will then communicate and coordinate a time and date. Okay, so just to clarify the difference, but again, student outreach and recruitment is under the Office of Admissions and Outreach. Okay, so just for clarity. But again, good question, because I know sometimes websites can be confusing. Okay, Deanna, there's a question that is, again, just COVID related. So how is our enrollment doing during COVID? Has our enrollment declined?
Good question. We definitely saw some enrollment decline, mostly in our new freshmen. Transfers was right on spot, and our continuing students returned back for fall semester. So we're very strong in continuing students in our new class. It was a little bit off in terms of freshmen, but transfers are right on point. I had a slide in my presentation was 33,037 students. So we were off about 400 or 500 students from over last year.
Okay, awesome. There's a question earlier that I think you covered some parts, but I think we might have missed it. So Deanna, to help students meet the GPA threshold, can students take any of the major prep courses or supplemental courses as pass grades? If yes, is there a limit? If any of those courses are done for pass grade, how is this handled? And is there a preference?
So I went over that question, yes, but happy to answer it again. So a pass grade, if the pass grade is indicating that it is a C- grade or higher, that's fine, but it has to show that on the legend of your transcript. So, but we only accept for the supplemental courses, it's a C grade, okay? So your legend has to show that pass grade was equal to a C for those classes. So I'd really encourage, for the winter 20, the spring 20, and the summer 2020 year, because of COVID, the Chancellor's Office allowed us to take the pass credit grades, on there. So for those terms, those 3 terms, we'll take the pass or credit. But beyond summer 2020, we want a grade. And it would be really good if we got a grade so that we didn't have to ask them, well, was it a C or was it a C-? because we need a C in those supplemental courses.
Okay, thank you, Deanna. This question, so in regards to the new social justice requirement, do you know yet how that will unfold for transfer students?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of your question.
Yeah, so in regards to the new social justice requirement, do you know yet how that will unfold for transfer students?
I think you mean the ethnic studies coursework.
I believe so too.
So the requirement may be fulfilled through your community college work, but if you haven't, and this is not in effect until 2023, I believe. So I don't know all of the details, but for graduation, the CSU did approve the ethnic studies as a requirement. I don't know that that's been fully approved by the state though. So more information, I would not want to answer a definite yes, but I do know that the legislator and the governor had to have approved it. And something tells me it hasn't been approved yet.
Okay, yep, and it was at the ethnic sense, yes. Okay, Deanna, when a student does academic renewal it's Friday, isn't it? When a student does academic renewal at a community college, for those academic renewal courses, sorry, I lost it there. For those academic renewal course grades, let me repeat this. When a student does academic renewal at a community college, those academic renewal course grades also do not get calculated into the transfer GPA for 23 CSU campuses. So that's the question. I think it was, you want me to repeat that?
No.
Okay.
I don't know that I can answer that question for all 23 campuses, if that's the question. So I would want that if we could have that person just email me your question. That way we can have a conversation. I'm not too clear about the answer.
Okay. Can students take supplemental courses in the summer term prior to transfer in the fall?
No. They need to have had those supplemental coursework completed either at time of application or by the end of the spring term. So for fall 21, it would be by spring 21.
Okay, sounds good. Before we wrap this up, I do want to send in the chat again. So for all the community college counselors in this Zoom room, we are hosting what we call Spartan Saturdays Explore SJSU event next Saturday, the 14th. I did in the chat put our events website where students can sign up for a transfer webinar event. And so for your transfers who just want to either take a glimpse of campus through our virtual tours, but also there's going to be an admissions presentation and a student panel. So please forward that information to your students. Besides that, I think we've reached the end, Deanna. If you want to have any last words for a group, I think we appreciate you and in coordinating this long days event. But again, we appreciate all the counselors who've stayed on this call.
So let's try to use our raise our hand mode in your participants there. I hope everybody appreciated today. Did you all enjoy the day? Raise your hand. We wish we could have been together and presented in person, giving you a nice box lunch. But you know, this is the next best thing to being close. And we want to thank you for your continued support of your students, that you continue to stay healthy, that we are your resource here in the local area. If you are from another area, we appreciate you joining us today and learning about San Jose State and encouraging your students to apply to San Jose State. Before you know it, it'll be next year again, and we'll be looking for you to come to our events. And we also think that because we're on this remote platform, we have the ability to reach out to you more. So look for some more invites throughout the year next year. So I will say good evening, and I hope you have a great weekend and stay healthy and strong.
And go Spartans.
And go Spartans. Yay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Blanca. Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you, everyone.